Hello everyone, this is Aisha and welcome to our 24th Kotlin tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'll be talking about the arrays in Kotlin programming language. So an array is used to store elements of same data type. And for example, if you want to store the marks of students, then you can use an array and you can store those marks instead of declaring separate variable for each mark. Then in Kotlin programming language, there are different ways to create arrays. For example, we can use the array of method like we did in lists and maps. We use the list of or map of a function, but in array you can create array by using the array of function. Then we can use the array constructor which we will discuss later in this tutorial. And then we have arrays of different data types, and the arrays of different data types can be created by using int array of, like if you want to create integer array, you can use the function int array of. And similarly, if you want to declare any other data type or any other array of different data type, for example byte, then you can use the byte array of function, and so on. Now let's create an array by using array of function first of all. So I'm going to use the var keyword, and then the name of my array will be, for example, marks equal the array of function which contains elements. So in these parameters we will have the elements of our array. So this array of function will define our array, and in the parameters we will have our elements. For example, the first marks is 11, then 12, or 14, or 13, and 15. So this function declares array of 5 elements, and these elements are 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on. So at location, the indexing of this array starts from 0. So at 0 location or at 0 index we have 11, at 1 index or first location we have 12, and so on. Now what I want to do is I want to store the sum of these elements. I want to calculate the sum of these elements, and then I want to store that sum in some variable, and then I will be printing that variable on the output stream. So for this purpose I have to declare a variable, for example sum of integer data type, and I am going to initialize this variable to 0. So the initial value of sum equals 0. Now I'm going to use a for loop j in marks. So what this will do, at first iteration j equals 11, at second iteration j equals 12, at third iteration j equals 14, and so on. So now inside the body of the for loop I am going to type a simple statement, sum equals sum plus j. So now at first iteration j equals 11, then the initial value of sum equals 0. So 11 plus 0 is 11, which will be stored in the variable sum. Now in the second iteration j equals 12, and the value of sum is now 11. So 12 plus 11 will be stored in this variable sum, and so on. So now I'm going to print this sum equals the dollar symbol and the name of the variable. Now run. And you can see here 65 is printed. So at first iteration j equals 11, sum equals 0, 11 plus 0 is stored in sum. Again in the next iteration j equals 12, and sum was 11, so 12 plus 11, the result will be stored in sum. Then in the third iteration j equals 14, and 12 plus 11 was stored in this sum, and the result will be added to this element 14, and so on. So now let's create an array by using another method, which is the array constructor. So the first method was by using the array of method, and then we will have the array constructor. So we will use the var keyword, and then the name of the array, for example a, and then we will have the assignment operator, and then the array constructor. You can see here the array constructor, and inside the parameter, the first parameter or the first argument will be the size of array. So for example, the size of my array is 5. So now you can see here that size of array is 5, and now we will have the definition of our elements in the array. So for this purpose you have to put a curly braces, then j or elements, j is defining our elements of the array, then j is pointing to the definition of our elements, and that definition is every j should be multiplied with 2 to get even numbers. So this is the definition of our array elements, and it defines that the elements are the even numbers, first 5 even numbers, because the size of the array is 5. So at first the indexing of this array starts with 0. So at first j equals 0, 0 into 2 equals 0. At second location, when j equals 1, 1 will be multiplied by 2, so 2 into 1 equals 2. Then at third iteration or the third location, j equals 2, so 2 into 2 is 4, and so on. So now I want to store the sum. First of all, I want to print this array, so I'm going to use the for loop. I in a the name of the array, and the body of the for loop, I'm going to simply write I. So now in first iteration we will have the first value of j. At second iteration we will have the second value of j. So what are these values? The first value is 0, then we have 2, then we have 4, then 6, and so on till the size becomes 5. Now when I print this array, I will have the first 5 even numbers. Run, and you can see here 0, then we have 2, then 4, then 6, and 8, and so on. So this is how you can create arrays by using the array constructor. Now the third method of creating array is by using the integer array of method, which will create our integer array. So for example, if I write var then b equals the int array of function, you can see here int array of, which takes arguments, simply the elements like we have in array of. So this, when you are using the int array of function, it is restricting you to use the only integer elements, and you cannot create any character element or any other data type in this function. So this is very simple. You can write any integers 1 2 3 4 and so on. Then if you want to create array of byte data type, so you can write byte array of, here you can see, and the data type of elements would be byte, and you cannot create any other elements in this type of array. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.